Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited to share with you today my first Azure Standard haul. Just a few weeks ago, I posted in my grain mill tutorial and video that I do not get my grains or any food from Azure Standard because they don't deliver to my area. But someone in the comments told me that there was a drop just north of where I live, and it turns out it's a brand new drop that's only 15 minutes away from my house. So this is a game changer. I'm sorry I told you there was no drop here because there actually is, but the one that I went to is actually only the third drop in this area, so it is brand new, and I got a bunch of stuff I cannot wait to use. One of the reasons why I want to start purchasing from Azure Standard is because there are a lot of things available through them that I cannot get locally. Now, I do feel fortunate that I live in a town with a lot of great grocery options, but when it comes to things like whole wheat berries, a lot of organic options, better farming practices for the food that we're eating, it's a little hard to find that in conventional grocery stores, even in a place like this where we have a lot of options. And on top of that, a lot of this stuff is hard for me to find in bulk locally, and I plan on freeze drying a lot of this and preserving it, so I don't want to buy all of that from a regular old grocery store because that would be too expensive. I didn't really know what to expect with the first drop. I didn't know how many people were going to be there. All I knew is that was at this really cute place in Hampstead, North Carolina called Cactus Jack's. And if you happen to live in southeastern North Carolina, I recommend stopping by there. They have all sorts of really cool vintage things. They have a whole tool shop and even more on the way. So if you live nearby in southeastern North Carolina, I do recommend stopping by Cactus Jack's. But that is where we got our haul. And I have to say, the pickup was one of the most fun community events I've been to in a really long time. It was a gathering of like-minded people who are interested in healthy foods and purchasing from smaller farms and coming together to help each other unload this truck. It was so much fun. I made some new friends. There were people of all ages and walks of life there. It was so sweet. And really, it was pretty refreshing given that community events, at least in my experience in the last few years, have been a little hard to come by, and it was just old-fashioned community fun and gathering. Okay, so I'm getting in the fridge here and I'm just grabbing some of the cold stuff that we got from our haul. I just don't want it to sit out too long. But I got a couple of cold things. Since it's my first haul, I wasn't really sure what to expect. So I grabbed just a half dozen of A2 milk. And so what's kind of funny about this is I did not even know that A2 milk was a thing until recently. And then as soon as I logged on to Azure, it was there. So I grabbed some. So A2 milk, I am not a food scientist or a dietitian, so I don't know a whole lot about it. I'll leave some links below for some more expert information, but essentially it has a protein that is easier for some people to digest. It's too soon to tell how I feel from using A2 milk, but I will say it tastes so good. It was really reminiscent of half and half, which is delicious, by the way. So this farm uses regenerative practices, which is better for the environment. This milk has additional omega-3s in it that regular store-bought milk might not have. It is ultra pasteurized, so it's probably not the best for things like making mozzarella, yogurt, or cottage cheese, but for our day-to-day dairy use, it is a great option. So when I was looking at stuff to buy from Azure, I was comparing the prices to the grocery store I normally shop at. And specifically, I was looking on Instacart because I tend to get a lot of grocery delivery. Now, the Instacart option that I use has in-store prices, so the comparison is pretty accurate. And actually, I didn't even know it, but the grocery store I shop at does sell a version of A2 milk. It is about 7 cents an ounce cheaper, but it is not organic and is not grass-fed. This milk is organic and grass-fed and is a little bit more expensive, but worth the price difference because of the quality, if you ask me. Okay, so I need to get this back in the fridge, and I also got some raw organic cheddar cheese. Let me grab this. We've already been eating it. So it's really good. This stuff isn't gonna last very long. And the next time I get this, I will get more. So this is Organic Valley, which is a reputable brand. You can buy their stuff in the regular grocery store. And that is actually why I opted for this raw cheese, because this is a well-known brand. I don't know a lot about raw cheese. I do know that this is aged over 6 months. So it is a delicious and good option. But until I know more about raw cheese, I just want to buy from brands that I already know and trust. But this is really good. We just snacked on this cheese. It definitely has like a little bit more of a pungent, earthy sort of flavor than maybe your regular old sharp cheddar cheese, but I really like that. It's not really like a stinky cheese so much, but it does have more of like I think pungent is the best word. It does have more of that flavor. So if you're sensitive to that, I might opt for something that is a little more mild, but for me, this is delicious. So next time I'll definitely be getting more of this. So there are a number of other perishable items that I do want to try from Azure, but since this was our first haul, I just wanted to get a couple of things and try them because I didn't know how it was going to turn out. But so far, so good. So next time you're probably going to see a lot more dairy in my haul. Okay, let's talk about some of these pantry items. There are a lot of pantry items from Azure that I want, but I just stuck with a few since it's my first one. So I got a big old bag of Rye Wheat Berries. This is 25 pounds of wheat berries. And what's kind of funny is I've been joking for a while that I'm the only person in the area that mills my own flour, which I know isn't true. I just haven't met anybody yet. Well, let me tell you, everybody in that line at Cactus Jack's mills their own flour. There were people buying a ton of wheat berries. So like I found my people, which is kind of exciting. So I have not had a great way of getting wheat berries. I've been buying some from some small farms, which is really great. Totally a viable option and a great way to support small business, but I really wanted to try some of Azure's grains. So I got 25 pounds of wheat berries to start because I already have a lot of soft white wheat and hard wheat in my pantry. So when I run out, I'll try those from Azure. But until then, I just have this 25-pound bag of rye. The other thing I wanted to get is corn. So if you watched, I think it was my kitchen deep cleaning video not too long ago, it was like around the new year, I made a Southern New Year's dinner, which of course includes cornbread. And when I was making that, I was like, man, I need to start milling my own corn for cornbread and for grits. Now, I have not milled corn yet, so I don't know how it's gonna turn out. I think it'll be fine to mill for cornmeal, to make baked goods. I don't know how the grit thing will work out. I'll keep you in the loop about that. But what's exciting about this is I can get whole kernel corn that is great for milling. And there were a ton of corn options there. So I just got a really classic one for now, but there were a bunch you can choose from. Now for milling corn, you want a dent corn, which is what this is, but they had all sorts of different corns that you could throw into soups and stews that are great options too. And we also got this little bag of popcorn. Now in my mill, I cannot mill popcorn. It specifically says don't mill popcorn. So I got this specifically for popping. My soon-to-be 4-year-old really loves popcorn. I do not like the stuff that is in microwave popcorn. There are a lot of weird ingredients in there. And I also just don't always feel like making popcorn on the stove. I know it's not hard, but I just don't feel like it. So I got this because it's multicolor and fun. And we made this yesterday in an air popper with no butter and no salt, and it was so good. So the kernels are multicolored. The popcorn itself, it is a little bit different in color, but you're not gonna get like blue and purple popcorn. But one is white and one is a soft yellow, and they taste a little bit different too. And the texture of the popcorn itself is really good. So this is a great snack for us to have around that is healthy and that I feel good about giving my child. So onions, they are not hard to come by in the store, but this was a really good price for 10 pounds of organic yellow onions. And what I plan on doing with these is freeze drying them for onion powder. So if you have been around here and watched anything on Moon and Magnolia's YouTube channel, you've probably seen me use freeze dried onion powder a lot when I cook because it is the secret ingredient to delicious cooking. But I am almost out of onion powder. So I got some in bulk to make onion powder with. Now I actually have the instructions for making freeze dried onion powder over my blog at moonandmagnolia.com. I will leave that link in the description box. But the produce that came from Azure, it looks really good. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but this is a really beautiful bag of onions. So next time I'm going to get a little bit more. Oh, and I just remembered, I got carrots too. Hold on. It appears my child has been in here. So this is just a regular 5-pound bag of carrots. I think this brand is called Earthbound. You can get this at Costco and other places, but this is actually cheaper than it was at the grocery store. Next time I'll probably get more carrots. I like to keep things like carrots around because they last a long time in the fridge, especially if they are stored properly. So if they're cheaper on Azure, I'll just get a couple bags and keep them around that way. We need to talk about the 50 pounds of potatoes that I got. So the 50 pounds of potatoes came in one big bag, and it is 10 5-pound bags, which I like because that makes it just a little bit easier for storing. Sure, 50 pounds of potatoes is a lot of potatoes to get through, but what I'm going to do with most of these is make mashed potatoes and freeze dry them. So on a recent freeze drying compilation video that I'll leave in the description box, I showed how to make freeze dried mashed potatoes. They are as easy to make as instant potatoes from the store, but with only wholesome, simple ingredients: potatoes, milk, butter, and salt. That's it. They are so delicious and so awesome. So most of these are going to become freeze-dried mashed potatoes, but I mean, I'm gonna keep some around for like frying and stuff because who doesn't want a fried potato? In the world of Azure Standard hauls, I think this one is relatively small. I spent $168 on this order. And next time, my guess is I'll be spending a lot more because my husband and I were just talking this morning about how Azure might be a good replacement for some of the other bulk foods we have been buying. So look, Costco is actually near and dear to my heart. The first time I ever met my husband was at Costco. So I have a special place in my heart for Costco, but I have felt that some of their quality control has been declining. I've been getting things like bulk bags of potatoes, and at least a third of them are rotten within a couple of days. I've been getting onions. There's always like 3 or 4 that are rotten when I cut into it. So I'm looking for a place to get better quality, both just in the food itself, but also better organic options. Now, one thing that did happen to keep in mind, especially if you are new to shopping with Azure, our local drop almost didn't make enough sales for the drop. So the day before, the woman who runs the drop emailed everyone and said like, hey, we're $2,500 short. If you have orders, go ahead and put them in. Luckily, we did hit the minimum, but that is one thing to think about if you're new to Azure, that if your community doesn't come together and put in enough orders, you may not be able to get your drop. So with that said, unless your community is like in it to win it, I wouldn't necessarily count on Azure as your sole source of food, because if they don't meet that minimum, the drop might not happen. But luckily, we did make ours. And very selfishly, I'm going to post across all of my community platforms for everyone to buy from Azure so I can keep getting my drops. So that is my first Azure Standard haul, and I'm so excited to share it with you. When I get my next drop, which will probably be next month, I will show you some of the other things that I got. And also, you're gonna be seeing a lot of this food in future videos. I'm doing a freeze drying collaboration coming up in February, and I'll be freeze drying these potatoes in that, so stay tuned for that. Also, last but not least, if you found this video helpful and you want more scratch cooking, simple living, and heirloom skill inspiration, be sure to sign up for the email list. When you sign up, I will send you links to all of my blog posts, videos, tutorials, and more directly in your inbox. Thank you so much for stopping by today and checking out my Azure haul, and I will see you again next time.